I notice, especially when I take people out into nature, that I'll see something and I'll mention it, and they can't see it. It's not really small, it's usually huge.
Yeah.
And then I'll like point to it, and sometimes they still can't see it, and so, you know, I'll like take their head and point to it, and sometimes they'll see it, and sometimes they still can't see it.
Sure.
What's going on?
Well, we're all looking at the world around us through our ideas and our beliefs and our language and our biases. And this is especially evident when we get into language. Now, in a case like that, we may be used to looking at certain patterns because of our previous experience and maybe things that we've learned. And as someone else who does not have that, literally won't see what you're looking at, okay? Because they don't have that pattern to relate it to. But when we're dealing with language, for instance, here's an example. We're familiar with wind, and we might be familiar with a breeze, and if we're really experienced, a zephyr, okay, and a strong wind and a weak wind and a directional wind, okay, we can maybe get, if we're really familiar with wind, maybe a dozen words. Of course, we know about hurricanes and storms and gales, and you know, so maybe a dozen, stretch it a dozen and a half for somebody who's very, very familiar with it in English. In Wainiha Valley, up here on the North Shore, which is one valley, small valley on this island, in Hawaiian, there are 65 different names for winds in that valley. So a Hawaiian with that knowledge is going to be walking through Wainiha experiencing something totally different. And he's going to say something like, did you feel that? Wind number 63? Okay. No. Okay. You wouldn't have the same experience whatsoever until you learned the language, associated the language with the experience, and then that would be your awareness too. Okay. So this is why certain people can look and not see the same thing that you're seeing.